now.
Okay.
Fantastic. Well, I want to thank you guys for showing up today. We're going to be talking about writing your hero's journey in 1,500 words. And Kristy Johnson, Kristy Boyd Johnson, she helps people to share their story, and you can tell a little bit more about what you're doing, Kristy, what you're working on. But she's going to be the one that's going to be walking us through this today. So I'm not sure, Kristy, if you want to walk Shauna through it or walk me through it, or how are we going to do this? So I'm just going to throw it on over to you. And let's hear what you got to share today. I'm super excited about this.
Okay. Thanks, Linda. First, let me just ask Shauna, are you willing to be a victim to my
I'm never a victim, but yes, I will be a participant.
Good answer.
And it's Shanna like banana.
Oh, Shanna like
banana. Darn it. Sorry, you got that. Shanna like banana.
Good. Okay, then what I'd like to do is just kind of walk you through it as an example. So
first, before you do that, tell everybody what we're doing.
Oh, what we're doing.
Yes,
that would probably be good, wouldn't it? Well, as you all probably know, Linda is doing the collaboration books, and everybody's writing a chapter of 1,500 words of their personal journey, whether it's their personal journey or their entrepreneurial journey. Either way, it's a story that you tell to show where you started and where you are now, which is a hero's journey. So inherent in a hero's journey is struggle, number one. No story is interesting if it doesn't have struggle. So don't be afraid to share your struggle with people, because it's encouraging. It shows us that if you can do it, then we can do it too. That's what it gives your reader, especially if they're on a similar journey to you or a similar entrepreneurial journey, either one. And then the second big thing to start with is, please do not censor yourself when you are writing your first draft. You will not believe how that voice will rear up when you're, should I say the or and? Wait, should I use dark or black? Just nitpicky little things will just block you right down. So my pro tip is, on the first draft is a free write. That's the nice way to say it. There's another expression for that. we'll call it a free write.
Dump it all.
Yes.
It's called the shitty draft.
A vomit draft. Yeah. We call it a vomit, because you kind of have to just like vomit it all out on the page, because if you don't do that, you'll lose things. And that'll drive you nuts if you start going, I just thought of something and now I don't have it anymore. It'll just drive you nuts. So the first draft, you give yourself permission to say, I'm just going to put all this down, and it doesn't matter if it goes over the 1,500 words, because that's for editing. Worry about that later. So Shanna, are you going to be sharing your entrepreneurial journey or your personal journey?
We can do my entrepreneurial journey.
Okay. So we always want to know where you start. For me, I was a school teacher, and no more. Where did you start in your journey?
I started originally in like customer service or fast food, but when I chose my career, I became a massage therapist.
Okay. All right. So when you started in customer service, what types of experiences did you have? Like everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Taco Bell, Subway, a pizza place, a Circle K, gas station, a little bit of a factory job when I lived in Colorado at Celestial Seasonings, a Long's drugstore.
Okay, so in all those jobs as a customer service rep, there's a theme in there somewhere, of a recurring theme that you felt. Like, for example, maybe it was insane boredom at, or or maybe it was, just the people that you had to, either the customers you had to deal with or the people you had to work with, or what's the kind of running theme through all those places that you?
I think I like helping people, but I like helping them when they're not starving and in a hurry on their lunch break.
Okay. So you probably experienced impatience, people lashing at you like you're at fault for that they're on their lunch break and they're having to make this phone call on their lunch break. Somehow your fault, being blamed for that. So now you're starting to already develop a kind of a theme of that you wanted to help people, but were you really?
Mhm.
Was this really helping people? So what started going through your head? What started going through your head that got you started thinking about going in another direction?
I was a single mom with my oldest daughter, and I had the opportunity to either get a job or go back to school and make a different choice. And I realized that if I just went back to work, I would only be able to use the resources and education that I had from the past, and I would not be able to provide her as many opportunities as I would like to. And I had always given people massages, like friends and family, and they thought I was good at it. So I figured if I went to school and actually got certified and cultivated that skill, I could then be compensated for it.
Yes, yes. Was there a sense in there of that when you did massages, not only did they like it, but what did that make you feel that
I got
they
to
liked it?
actually help them because I could relieve the pain.
Okay. So you shifted, there's a shift there in I'm helping people, but not really to I am actually doing something constructive to help people. And extra added bonus, I can be paid for this. And you have a story in there of you're setting an example for your daughter. You have that storyline runs through that of what you were showing her at the beginning and what you showed her as you went through your journey. So what was the struggle from the time that you made the decision to the time that you actually became a massage therapist? What did you have to go through?
I went through a 9-month training program, which was 720 hours. It included hands-on training plus like book work, learning the muscles and the body systems and the different styles of massage. After I graduated that program, there was a 3-hour timed test of very intense questions where they only give you a pass or a fail. And so when I was done, the lady said, "Well, how did you do?" And I was like, "Well, you don't actually tell me how I did." She's like, "Did you pass or not?" And I was like, "Well, I passed." And she's like, "Well, you're the first one who passed all day." And I was like, "Well, then I guess I did good." So it's all what you get to compare it to. um, but yeah,
Interesting.
my
Yeah.
other struggles, I think, would just be transitioning from the employee of doing the massage for someone else and then getting into business for myself and creating another stream of income with a complementary company and product, because I learned about leverage and passive income and different ways of thinking versus the traditional, exchange your time for money. And so once we learn better, then we can do better. And so I got to start that more entrepreneurial path about 9 years ago. So I've been a massage therapist for 14, but I've only been on the entrepreneurial journey for 9.
Okay. So that whole mindset shift and then how that shifted literally how it shifted you and what the changes you made to grow into where you are now. And then how did that shift the relationship and the example that you were setting for your daughter?
I have 2 daughters now, so I accumulated another one on the way. Um, and she has been exposed to this journey far longer because she's only 10. And so she just went out yesterday and sold candy and jewelry to the neighborhood children and made $18.
Good for her.
And she's going to come in here and say hello now.
Hi.
Oh, hello.
You got backgrounds.
Yeah. Good for you.
My love. So that was Grace.
That's hi, Grace. That's awesome. That's
My
awesome.
My oldest is Justice, and she's done some things too. She's made some jewelry and some artwork and created Instagram pages to promote herself in those ways, since we are in a social media age now.
So they've helped you, especially Justice, probably because she's older and she's gone through that with you.
Yeah, I think it's just allowed me to help them better, because I'm very careful not to be discouraging against their dreams, because I had other dreams earlier in life and it was like, oh, that's a hobby, that's not a career, or you can't do that, why would you want to, and I don't want to be that negative voice. I want to encourage them that they can be, do, and have anything that they put their mind to. And I bribe them, with money to read good books or become more, educated in alternate ways of thinking besides just what the schooling is offering.
Yeah, don't even start me on that subject. Let me ask you this. What is one example of a dream that you gave up because you were told that you can't do that?
I wanted to be a photographer, mostly nature scenery for like calendars.
Mm-hmm.
But my new dream is to publish my book of poetry, and I will include my photographs with my poems. So I still get to do it.
That's awesome. Okay, see now look at that shift from you can't do that to, okay, I'll take this dead end job to, oh, this isn't working, to I'm going to change it. And there was, I'm sure you didn't really touch on it, but there has to be a lot of struggle in that, making the decision, going back to school, still having to work to pay the bills, because, we all have to pay the mortgage and, and then getting to that level where you were able to let go of that and go full time into something you love. And now returning to an old dream that they told you you couldn't do. There's your hero's journey. And you're a young woman, so that's just where you are now. Who knows where you might go in the future?
Yeah, I'm still breaking through old paradigms and overcoming my limiting beliefs so that I can continue to progress.
Yes, aren't we all?
Yes. Not all of us. Some I still try to reach out and invite along to the journey, and they still decline for now. So it's much more fun to do it with our friends who are on the same journey with us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you were a great example. Thank you so much. You're a great example. So for everyone, start where the struggle is. If it's a personal journey, it may be a childhood thing. For example, perhaps there was a lot of abuse in your childhood, or I've read a couple of the stories where it wasn't abuse, it was a different kind of struggle, but there's still something that was causing a feeling of dissatisfaction, unhappiness, misery. This is not the way I want to live my life feeling. That's where you want to start. And then how you manage to shift it, whatever way that is, whether it's a combination probably of shifting your mindset, your behavior, like what action steps can you take to make that? What action steps did you take? How did that affect the way you felt as you did it? Did you feel really excited when you first enrolled in school and you took that first step to getting to your dream? How did you feel when you did that?
It was so long ago now. I have to remember. I think I was really excited for the opportunity to do something that I was good at, like that I had already received compliments for. I was, like in Girl Scouts and quit Girl Scouts because too many people told me no when I wanted to sell the cookies, So some of my more limiting beliefs maybe come from that part of my childhood where I didn't feel supported and encouraged as much. And so being able to cultivate a skill that I had a natural, God-given ability to do, I have always said that, that's one of my gifts. And so I'm choosing to use it to give back. And there's been times where I still don't have a website for my massage with like set pricing because I want to have a conversation with people. And it's like, I never want to know that I could have helped someone and I didn't just because of financial obligation. So I'm like, can we trade or barter? What do you want to accomplish? What can you offer? If it's your birthday, maybe I'll give you one as a gift kind of thing. And so I've just really had that in my heart. I've had a couple of events where they've been like, give back to the community type things. And I don't say that to get credit, but just like my mom was working in an office and they came in to ask if anyone was willing to participate and nobody in her clinic there wanted to. And she's like, well, call my daughter. She'll probably, she was on the receiving end of something wonderful like that one time. And she'd probably like to give back. And, it's a full circle paying it forward and everything like that. So I think I get more excited now with the new information that I know, especially after being on the entrepreneurial journey a little bit longer, just to be able to teach new ways of thinking to others or kind of guide them along their way or ask them, like, what are they passionate about? What is their dream? Like, if it had no limits, write it down and really meditate on that and bring it to fruition by letting go of all that negative stuff. And I wrote a poem this morning because somebody was feeling a little down and I reached out and I was like, okay, this came to me. This is for you. And I didn't get a response back, but that's okay because it'll go in my book and it'll help someone else. So,
so two things I heard that for your chapter. Number one, the authenticity of finding that path. It's not about the job you're going to do. It's the authenticity of aligning with your heart with what action you're taking out in the world. And if you get that to come through when you write your chapter, that's the most important thing right there. So that's why you tell the hero's journey, is so that you can bring that feeling through. And then when people read your chapter, they're like, oh, I like her.
Thank you.
The second thing is the poem. You're very, you're excited about the massage therapy, but I see you just like light up when you're talking about your book. And so if I were writing your chapter, I would put a poem in there, but not very long because you only have 1,500 words for your whole thing all together. But maybe just a little small one in there somewhere. You could put it in the beginning before you start your story as a quote, or at the very end, or you can weave it in. And yeah, that would be kind of cool, actually.
I agree. That was the first thing I thought too, because you can, it can be, formatted in the book in a way where it's obvious it's a poem and not, not part of the chapter and stuff. So, and I know that you are not going to be in the books as of right now, but I want to talk to you because I want to talk to you about something just to see if you have, anything's changed, because that was a couple months ago that we talked. We are, I'm taking final chapters by May 31st. So we're moving on this thing. And the goal is to get both books launched by July 31st. That's the goal. And, of course, I can't get them launched without the chapters being turned in. So everything is kind of dependent on that, right? So, but we are moving forward, and I'd love to have you share your story, Shanna, like banana.
Shanna Banana.
Yeah. But yeah, I love it. I love how, like everything comes together, right? Sometimes it takes longer than we want it to. I think it always takes longer than we want it to. I think we always want it like now, but it's come, to fruition. You're doing what you love, and that's absolutely awesome. And you have some of that passive income coming in with something that, most entrepreneurs dream about and don't have yet, so you figured all that stuff out. So that's awesome. But I have a question, Kristy. So with the chapters, should you go like hit hard right at the beginning, that struggle? Or because like I know a lot of times when we speak, like when I speak on stages, you tell where you are today and then you go back and you tell the journey of how you got there. And so I'm just curious, in a book, do you do the same thing, or do you just start with the struggle?
That's a really good question. And the answer is, which way do you want to tell your story? Because either of those will work. You can say, here's where I am, and then let me just kind of fill you in where I've come from so they can see your journey, or you can just jump right in and tell it like a story from the
I think,
beginning to the end. And it's
okay.
really what you feel, the way you want to tell your story.
And I know like the authors, as they're turning their chapters in, that's what they're doing, is they're starting in the struggle and then moving out of it. So it's been interesting because from the speaking perspective, you start with I'm all that and a bag of chips, and then you go back to say, but I was like you one time, like so it's different. I think when you're speaking, then because with the chapter, they have that opportunity to really dive in and get to know who you are through your written words.
Yes, and of course, a person who's reading your words, it's a different experience than a person who's in an audience hearing you speak. So that's just a whole different thing.
Yeah, because they're
So,
hearing through their filter in their life. They're not hearing it through your filter in your life. And that's one of the things that I'm hoping that the commercials will do, because creating the commercials based on the chapters, is it'll give people an opportunity to kind of like visualize something along with the words. And maybe that'll do something different to move them to, go purchase the book to read the rest of the chapters.
there's some really awesome chapters in there. The ones I've read, really, really good.
I know. I'm
Amazing stories.
thrilled to read yours, Kristy.
Yeah,
Sally's
I
in,
think I did.
I think Sally's in both books. I can't remember off
Oh,
the top of my head who's in what books, but Sally had to get in her car, so she dropped off and came back on. So I'm not sure she's able to come on, but I know she is listening though.
okay. Well, she can't talk. I was going to ask her if she had any questions, but I don't think she can talk.
Yeah, Sally, if you're able to, just go ahead and unmute yourself. If not, so uh, I really like that, Kristy. You talked about if I, oh, it sounds like she's trying to talk, but that's weird. Okay, try Sally. It was weird. I heard something, but
I,
she was muted. Okay, I muted you because you sound like Charlie Brown's
Can you hear
teacher.
me?
Can you say it again?
I think there's a delay. I think that's why we're hearing that.
There might be. If you can hear me, Sally.
I don't know if you can hear me, Liz. I got it.
Yes. Try again.
Hello.
Hello? We can
Hello.
hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
you were talking about the struggle, and my whole thing really hasn't been a struggle as much as a trying to figure out my purpose. My whole life has been just why did God put me here, more or less. So it's been this journey of just trying to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing, if that makes sense.
And have you come to any conclusions?
Well, the thing was, see, when I was 18 months old, I was burned badly. And I got a staph infection and I was in a coma for 3 days. And they told my parents that I wasn't going to survive the night. And my whole life, I don't remember any of it, of course, but my whole life I was told that I almost died, and that I always felt like, okay, well, why didn't God take me? Why am I still here? And even like as a teenager, when you're going through all that crap that teenagers do, I would, just cry and say, why didn't you take me? You should have just taken me. Then why am I going through all this? So my whole thing has been, okay, if he left me here, I must have to do something. And so my whole life has been trying to figure out what is it I'm supposed to be doing. So I try all these different things. I do all these different things in the hope that maybe I'll figure it out.
Okay, well, that is an inherently a struggle. It's an emotional struggle, but it's still a struggle. And so for you, that story about you almost dying, and then how people kind of just told you this thing and made you go on this journey of asking why. And then in your chapter, tell us what conclusions you came to. Where did that lead you? And where are you now with that? That would be your chapter.
And I want to speak to that a little, because when she said like that would be your chapter, right? Here's the thing, is your journey is never over. So there's not like an end to your chapter. So as far as the chapter goes, right, you're telling, like Kristy said, as I hear you speaking of like, just wondering like, why didn't you take me? Why am I here? What is my purpose? That is like she said, an inherent struggle that most of us have at some point in our life, right? So that we can relate to that. And when she said, like, what conclusions did you come to? Well, maybe you came to one conclusion at 13 years old, and then you found out that that wasn't the right conclusion. And then you came to another one at 20, and you're like, that's not the conclusion. The point is that you're continually searching, right? So maybe the moral of the story, when it gets to the end, because it seems that every chapter so far has had some sort of moral to the story that we've been able to walk away with. And so maybe your moral to the story, Sally, is so simple as just keep looking. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I'm not writing your story, but
question everything.
Yeah.
Yes. And the end of your story in the chapter is, at the present day, when at the publication of this book, this is where you are in the journey right now. And that's totally okay. We're all like that. All of us are just where we are right now. We're all.
Oh gosh, the first 5.5 years of my starting my entrepreneurship journey, the first 5.5 years, I always, every single time I met somebody, they'd say, what do you do? I'd say, I'm in transition. Because I was in perpetual transition, trying to figure it out. So I didn't have an end to my story. I still don't think I have an end to my story. And I don't think I will have an end to my story until I take that last breath, So it's all the journey. And I think that's the beauty of yours, Sally, is something happened to you and you're questioning why did I survive? Why wasn't I taken? I should have died, but why am I here? And that's a question that many, many of us ask. I didn't ask that until I was 51. You started asking that at a much younger age,
Mm-hmm.
So the journey just started much younger for you than it did for me. And I'm glad you're here, by the way.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah. So that's what a hero's journey literally is. It's what happens to set you on a path. What was the struggle, and how did you meet those struggles along the way, and where are you now? And that everybody, unless they're living in a cave somewhere and just, doing nothing, there's a growth. And that growth shows your readers that it's okay to be, in Sally's case, questioning, in Shannon Banana's case, actively shifting to be an example for your children. It's all a good story. Yeah. In Linda's case, transitioning over and over to find that path, that's all okay. It's inspirational.
Yeah, still transitioning,
Yeah.
And but that's just like, because like when Shanna was talking about her jobs, and I've had 49 jobs. So she was talking about that, I'm like, okay, I hear you, because, so many just trying different things until finding the thing that works. And unfortunately, it never worked with me in the corporate world. That just wasn't what worked for me. But I thought I had to, because that's the way you do it. That's the way my whole family did it. And that's the way you do it, And that's what I believe to be the truth, because I didn't know any entrepreneurs, So it's just very interesting how, different things get thrown at us at different times, and then we get to decide what we're going to do with them. And then, telling our journey. I think the hardest part is telling your journey in only 1,500 words. That's the hardest part.
Yeah.
Like I could go on for days telling my journey. And as you know, I've told my story so many times, and it's like, how can I get it shorter and more succinct, but still have that pow, like that, whoa, that's what I needed to hear right now. And that's the thing that I'm hoping that, that my chapter will do, right? Is give that, wow, if she did it, I can do it. If she did it, I can do it. And that's really what I want the chapters, in the books to do. And I'm every chapter so far that's been turned in. Oh my gosh. I just like, whoa, it's just really awesome to hear everybody's story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And the way you get that pow is you allow yourself to just put all the words down and don't worry about the word count. That's what editing is for. And when you edit, you take an emotional step back from your work and you look at it objectively. You have to detach and say, if I were reading this, what would give me the most impact? You have to do that. And that's why a lot of writers can't edit their own work, aside from the typos, because they can't take that emotional step back from their work. But if you can't, then have your people, whoever your people are, read it and give you advice, and then cut it down to that 1,500 word mark.
And then don't take offense when they cut.
Yes, because they're telling you this is working and this isn't. Don't get the ego out of it. You want that chapter to pop, because when that chapter pops, you get followers. You get people going, ooh, I want to connect with that person. That person's story really resonates with me.
And that's the other thing too, is that when somebody reads our chapters, because I've had this happen, people read it and just like chop it up and stuff. And when somebody else reads our work, really removing that that emotional part from it is really important, because remember, we know every little detail, but the reader doesn't. And the reader doesn't need to know every little detail. So like when we think that something is extremely important, I know as one of the chapters I was editing, and I took out like a whole paragraph and a half, because I was like, they don't need to know that. It's not, it's unimportant, and it doesn't add value, right? So something can be unimportant, but as long as it adds value, then that's good. And if it doesn't add value, we really need to save those words, because we can lose the reader in a like a segue or whatever if it doesn't at least move us or interest us, entertain us, right? If it doesn't do any of those, we might actually write them out of reading. I've stopped reading books before because I just got bored.
Me too.
You got to entertain me,
Yeah.
in your books.
Yeah.
And I have to keep enthralled. And that's how, for me, that's what works to keep me interested. And so we have to think about that. I always try to put myself in the reader's perspective. It's hard to do when you're telling your own story. But,
It is.
But it's like I keep working on it, and I just keep working on getting better and better and better. Yeah. And yeah.
Yes. And it's the advantage of a 1,500 word chapter. You gotta hit those points, and not all those little tiny details like you said, if they don't add value, you eliminate them. That's the advantage, is that you can really get it nice and punchy and keep your reader hooked for the whole story.
And that's not to say to leave out the things, there's like novels, right? When a novel is written, like I was glancing out the window and I saw the wind in her hair, and it was flowing. Like, it's not saying leave all of that out, because some that descriptive text helps to have them like be in the moment with you, but also it's not a novel. And so we can't focus on that. It's really, it's this, actually a chapter is harder than writing a full book sometimes, because you do have to stay to, pretty much the number of words. But that's a great skill to have, to be able to pare yourself down. There's a saying, and I can't remember who it was. I think it might've been Harry S. Truman. I could be wrong, but it was one of the presidents. He said, if I knew I only had a 5-minute speech, I would have taken twice as long to write it. Because
Yes.
it's so much harder to write a shorter shorter message than it is to write a longer message. So
Yeah. And sensory details don't really apply to this chapter other than the feelings. Those are really critical to this chapter. How you felt in that struggle is critical to the chapter. That what you're smelling and what you're tasting, unless it's a story about becoming a restaurateur or chef or something, isn't so relevant.
or like my first job, cotton candy. That smelled so good. I can remember like it was yesterday. Yeah, I worked at the Del Mar Fairground, and my first job was a cotton candy maker at the fair. Good times, good times.
Good times, yeah.
Yeah, so Sally, do you have any questions, or Shanna, do you have any questions? Okay.
Thank you so much for your time, ladies.
Oh,
You're
my
welcome.
pleasure.
Kristy, do you have anything you want to add?
I think we pretty much covered it. Those were all my notes. So yes, being authentic really is the main, just be who you are.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, that is one tip I will give you. Write it the way you talk. Don't try to sound like a thesaurus. That will backfire on you.
Yeah, and one way I did that is, for my book, when I wrote the Year of Fears, I just dictated into Google Docs. So I opened up Google Docs and I hit the dictate button, and it translated for me. And what I did not do, which I think was important for me, is I didn't look at it as it was coming out, because I would just then stop and I would edit it as it was going. So I would just dictate, like I was looking out the window, and I just dictate, like you said, Kristy, right? Just vomit all over the page. Yep. And then go fix it later.
Yes. Editing while you're writing your first draft is actually writer's block happening.
Really? Okay.
Yes. Yes. Because you're censoring yourself before you even have a chance to get a full thought out. So usually that's what happens. It's like they get a couple sentences, a couple thoughts, and then they start going, oh, wait, I could say that differently. Don't do that to yourself. It's writer's block. That's what it is.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, and I wanted to say something, Shanna. So if you do decide to join us, in one of the books, one or both, or however, that they can be, what's the word I want to use? Not catalyst. You'll have to help me with the word, but like jumping off point to your solo book that you're writing. Right. So it could be like a segue to that. And it's like one way what you can do is you can introduce, your book in your chapter also. Like you guys you have full range to write whatever you want. I'm not going to, if it's like a full sales pitch, no, I mean, that doesn't work, but I know you're not going to do that anyway. But the idea is to help you to get business. I don't want the book to be just for you to just write a chapter. Like I've been in chapter books, and that's basically what it was. I ended up just being part of the book. And I didn't feel like there was enough help with us with our own marketing. So we have already 4 interviews lined up. We have to wait till I know the launch date, but 4 people who are going to interview us on their shows. So we already have some of that lined up. And I'm also lining up us being in a world-class book signing with Secret Knock. That will be a charge. There'll be a charge to attend Secret Knock, but just to be able to have a table at the book signing is a huge deal. This is a world-class, book signing event. And so I'm working on getting both books being able to be signed there. So that does cost money. So we have to get that figured out. But just so you know, I mean, I'm doing things that I can to get us, to get the word out and to share our book and share your stories and have opportunities to, interview everybody and get your message out there, and then do marketing, stuff. So I'm so excited about the Secret Knock thing. I'll announce it when I know a little bit more, probably next week.
Cool.
Awesome. Okay. Anything else before we head out?
Thanks so much, Linda.
Kristy,
I hope this helped everybody.
Yeah, it did. I got some really great notes here too. So you want to share that, how they can reach you in case they want to reach out to you. I see Sally unmuted herself. Sally, did you have something?
I just wanted to thank for everything. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. I can't wait to read your chapter.
No, me too. I can't wait to read my own. I got to write mine too. And so Kristy, how can we reach
I
you?
actually
How can we,
started.
how
Oh,
can we connect with you?
you can connect with me. My email is Kristy, spelled Kristy, at turtleseabooks.com. And you can check out Turtle Sea Books, which is being revamped right now because we're in a, talk about a shift, you know, we're shifting. We're shifting into publishing micro books. We're very, very small books. We have a lot of children's authors, and usually those are very small books. So helping people with that. But you can reach me there, or, you know, you can contact Linda and she can put you in touch with me. And if anybody needs any help, let me know. I'm very, very familiar with what's going on with these books with Linda. So we've been doing this since the beginning.
Yeah, and Kristy's been ghostwriting. You know, some of the people aren't comfortable writing their own chapters, so Kristy has, you know, ghostwritten some of the chapters as well. So that's always an option too. And if you, I know that that's not Kristy's like main business is ghostwriting, but she has, you know, gone ahead and taken that on for me. So that's been awesome. So
I like ghostwriting the chapters. I get to meet fabulous people and hear their stories, and then I get to shape it into a chapter. So I think that's kind of fun.
yeah, well, it's been awesome. Well, I want to thank you guys so much, for you ladies so much for being here today, and let's go write those chapters. Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
And then go and end it.